What's up, everybody? What is up? It's Aslan and Michael here to talk recruiting. Warchant.com live recruiting chat. Thanks for being here. Lots to discuss. But first, some business before we get started, Michael. What should people do throughout tonight to show some appreciation for all the free information you're about to throw their way?
Oh, we always love when you hit the like button. Certainly that certainly promotes these great features. Not only the Wake Up War Chant, but all the different video features we do and all the great columns that we do. So when you promote it and you hit the like button, it always helps us guys. So fire away.
Boom. That's right. Little button, shape of a thumb. Tap it, hit it. Don't have to smash it.
No,
Hit it
you want
lightly. Hit it so it registers.
Yeah.
Certainly appreciate it. Michael, how are things going in your world, man? Are things calming down at all, or is it as busy as ever?
No, it's calmed down some. Obviously, it was chaotic the last 2 weeks. With all these, added portal guys, and then just finalizing kind of what getting into that cycle for 2025. Which, by the way, I'm putting the final touches on the hot war. I think people have already seen the quarterback and running backs, and so we're putting the finishing touches on all that stuff. But overall, it's been pretty good. Got a big junior day coming up this weekend in the Arctic cold, which is known as Tallahassee, Florida, expected. But overall, it's fantastic. Matt Lazier's done an incredible job with the stuff with the portal and the help, and Irish certainly chipped in and helped a lot. So everything's good. Just ready to roll for this weekend, and it's been a chaotic but interesting last 2 weeks.
Indeed. No one likes boring, though.
No.
Rick Johnson's here to start us off. Michael, he asked us at 5:27 p.m. He got this question before we even hit the airwaves. Does FSU have enough scholarships to take on all these portal players, or do they pay for school through the NIL funds?
I think scholarship-wise, they feel pretty comfortable what they do. They're not going to add a guy if they feel like it's a problem. So I think they feel good about what their numbers are with scholarships, and certainly we know there's going to be attrition in May and throughout the process of just that's not just FSU, it's any program. So I think they feel good about where they're at scholarship-wise.
All right. Yeah, that's like the whole theory everybody has. Like, ooh, it doesn't even matter about the 85 scholarship limit anymore. If you got NIL, you can just keep paying kids. And it's like, no, if it works that way.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure it works that way, but it could possibly. Let's go to Garrett, PCL. Caleb Downs, percent chance. He saw that Greg Reed was recruiting him on Twitter.
Yeah, probably around a 2% chance. I mean, it's not likely, guys. I mean, I'm just going to cut to the chase. It's not likely. I would say Georgia is the team that I expect, but Ohio State is also in there. It's been those two teams. I know FSU fans would love that, and certainly take another Alabama guy. Personally, I take Caden Proctor because I think that benefits FSU even more with a star left tackle. But for me, I don't see that happening. With Caleb Downs, I think it's a low chance. Obviously, I never say never. That's why I gave it 2%, just a little bit of chance. But yeah, I think he's probably heading either Georgia or Ohio State.
Stephen Cordell said receivers are going to hit the portal. I thought maybe he was being like a seer, like someone who can see the future, because Joshua Burrell tweeted out at 6 p.m., I guess right as we went on air here, that he plans on entering the transfer portal.
Okay.
So, that as one door closes, another one opens possibly. Burrell, obviously a guy that was on scholarship, so that thins out a really, really crowded room at wide receiver. We'll see what that means for Florida State. Obviously, this is weird though, right? Because I thought the window was closed. Like, I thought you could only enter the portal like between whatever December 7th and January 2nd. Like, you didn't have to commit somewhere, but you had to put your name in there by then. So I can maybe work on trying to figure out what that's all about here. But it looks like he says he plans to graduate from Florida State in May, and he'll have 2 years of eligibility remaining as a grad transfer. Okay, so I guess he's going to go that route as opposed to the one-time transfer thing there.
Right,
so.
right, and that's one that I've expected for a long time. I'm actually surprised it took this long. As far as Joshua and a great kid, by the way, incredible kid. I love him as a kid, but overall, I think that was kind of expected. And then, like I said, it's going to be attrition in May and throughout this process until you finalize everything. So
All
there you go.
right. Next question. Let's keep it back to Caleb Downs. Peter Shields says, "How's KJ feeling with Caleb Downs possibly coming to Athens?"
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's something they have to ask KJ. He's not exactly good at responding to FSU as far as what he's going to do. So I don't know. I would guess that he probably felt like he was going to come in there early, but if they get Caleb Downs, I would say those chances are probably low as far as starting. But I don't know. I can't really speak for how KJ's feeling, but not really my concern. He kind of made it that way once he did he made his decision. So after that, I'm not really that focused on KJ Bolden.
You mentioned Caden Proctor. Is that a possibility at all?
It's a small possibility because everything I hear is like Iowa because that's the place he was going to go before he went to Alabama at the last minute. That's a guy I'm kind of keeping an eye on just to see if there's anything there because I know he did visit FSU during the high school process, and that was a place I know that he likes Atkins, but I'd still say it's more likely Iowa. But hey, you can always dream, can't you, Aslan?
You can. No one says you cannot. That's what we're all about on the show. What would we do if we didn't dream on this program? What we've done the last 2.5 years. Um, how about Jameer Grimsley? Somebody out there wonders, Michael, thoughts on Jameer Grimsley from our friend Brett Taylor.
Yeah, I'd probably say LSU or Florida. I'd probably lean more towards Florida. Florida was a place that he was likely going to go if it wasn't Alabama. And so I would say those two teams, but probably lean a little more towards Florida. But it's close. But I don't expect FSU to play a factor in that one. I think FSU feels pretty good about their DB group, and it really wouldn't make a lot of sense if you look at what they signed. From the DB class they signed, you're basically bringing in another top rated 2024 guy when you feel pretty good about what you're doing, unless that's like somebody like a safety that maybe makes up for losing KJ Bolden or somebody like that. I don't see that. I don't see the it making a lot of sense there, but I think it's probably LSU or Florida.
All right. Well, let's keep it in the portal then. Amari Niblack. Sorry, Amari. Not sure what emphasis we're putting on the syllables there. But Harold Kelly II wonders, are we looking into him?
I checked on that earlier this week, and I posted on the PRB that I did not expect a pursuit. I think he ends up at Texas, from what I hear. Everything seems to be trending that way. But I checked on that earlier the week. Just I was kind of curious as well about just as Harold was. And I'd heard that there wasn't going to be a pursuit there with FSU. I think they feel good about their four tight ends. I think they have in the room Brian Courtney, certainly Kyle Morlock, Landon Thomas, and forgetting one, Jarrell Powers.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, shout out Jarrell Powers, man. How,
Yeah,
how quickly we forget.
yeah. So I think they feel good about that. So I don't see anything there.
What about this guy?
Oh yeah, he's a big one.
French.
Yeah, I think FSU's number one for him. I think FSU sits in the top spot. He's unofficially visiting. He'll be out there at FSU this weekend on Saturday. I think that's a guy I feel they're in the best position for. Obviously, we don't know how long the process will be. Mike Norvell went there this same day. Mike Norvell said he's staying, and I'm assuming signed his extension whenever they're in Mandarin High School. Saw Tramel Jones, who's the quarterback, and then went to see Jamie French, and then also Drake Stubbs, talented safety they have there at Mandarin. So I think all three of those guys are coveted ones they want. And I think it was interesting that he decommitted just a few days after that. So I think it takes kind of the feelings about FSU, but also if you want to read tea leaves, and that's a good tea leaf sign. And like I said, I felt like even before he didn't decommit from Alabama, and even before Saban retired. I felt like it was close to 50-50 with FSU and Bama. I felt like FSU was making some surge and some wiggle room and some moves with Jamie. I got a chance to watch Jamie in the state title game. He was phenomenal, as I expected he would be. Um, see a couple highlights here from FAMU from the state championship game, but I think FSU has done the best job recruiting him, and so I think they're in a good position right now.
All right. Keeping it moving here on the program. Thanks for being here. At the thumbs up, everybody, for just joining us here.
No, Jeremy. Just put on Jeremy's asking if Jackson West left. No, he's still there. I saw him on
Oh,
campus.
that's who.
So,
Yeah, that's who we
yeah.
forgot about. Yeah.
So I forgot about him. It wasn't like I was just naming guys that are top of my head, Jeremy. So I saw Jackson on campus. So when I was over there, so to my knowledge, he's still there. So we'll see what he does.
Ed Bagley trying to drop some news here on the program. We appreciate the contributions here. Says Zion Grady, Charles Henderson High School, which is in Troy, Alabama. Funny story, by the way. So when I took the job in Dothan, Alabama, I think I started there in like January, late December, early January. So we're getting ready for signing day in February, and we're going over coverage plans, and we're like, all right, we'll go to Dothan High to cover this signing. We'll go to, I don't know, Dale County to cover this signing. And then we got to go get Charles Henderson. And I'm like, who's Charles Henderson? I'm like, I've never even heard of this guy before. They're like, no. It's the name of the school is Charles Henderson. So Zion Grady, defensive end from Charles Henderson High School in Troy, Alabama. Decommitted from the Tide here recently, Michael. Apparently, Ed says he's going to go to Enterprise, which is a pretty strong program in South Alabama.
Yeah, I know
Auburn,
Enterprise
are
very
they
well.
in the catbird seat right now, or is Florida State got a legitimate shot at
I think
Zion?
FSU has a legit shot. I think that's a guy that FSU's liked a lot. I think he visited Auburn. I do think those are the two top teams. I wouldn't sleep on Georgia either with that recruitment. So I think it's still pretty wide open. I think FSU has done the things you need to do to put them in position. He's visited. He's worked out at FSU. They feel very good about the relationship already they have there. I think it's a wait and see on that. I think a lot of these he's gonna take his time the second time around. I think Alabama's still in the picture, but I'd probably at a lesser level. But I think FSU Auburn. I think FSU is very high on his list. He's been to FSU several times, several games. I think that's a program that is going to be a major factor in that recruitment.
All right. Trevor Jackson. We haven't spoke about him yet. Somebody here in the chat inquiring about him, Michael.
Okay.
What can you tell us about the latest quarterback commit for the Noles?
Yeah, so an interesting thing with him, the week I went over to watch Kai Bates play and I did the interview, I was trying to see if he'd tell me if he's committing or deciding, and that was when things were starting to trend towards FSU, and so I was like, I'll stay for the game, and the team they were playing, Orlando Jones High School, and that was Trevor Jackson's team. So I got a chance to watch Trevor. That was a very good, pocket presence in there. He's raw. I mean, compared to Luke, he's raw. Is some of the things he does, but I think a very good athlete. I think a guy that you could take your time building. Great arm talent. That certainly jumps out at you when you watch him as the arm talent. Seeing the field's pretty good. Could be better, but pretty good, and just a great option to grab. Late in this process when FSU lost AJ Duffy and they lost Tate Rodemaker. So to add that to your room, it's coming in as a walk on, but that could change. From what I hear, as far as being eventually a scholarship guy. But I think it's just a really good ad because you got him late. He was originally committed to Ole Miss, decommitted from them around October, and there was some other schools on him that were either G5 or Power 5 that won, but I think he preferred to the Florida State. He really liked them, and things started picking up. And as people remember, I told people like there's two guys that I think they're likely to get. I didn't know the second guy, and the second guy was Trevor. I didn't know that time, but the other guy is Amari Williams, defensive end, 4-star that I feel really good about. And I was told those are the two guys. So I think Trevor's a nice add to fill out your room. You can bring them along at your own pace. Obviously, they're hoping not to play another true freshman again. At quarterback, you'll have DJU and Brock Glenn obviously batting out, and Luke will be in there as well. But you can just bring him along at your pace. But certainly, from my perception, watching him, great arm talent, great eyes as far as the way he sees the field, and I think obviously a raw guy as far as technique and mechanics and stuff. But you can take your time fixing that and cleaning that up.
You mentioned Amari Williams in passing. Noel Princess wondered, any news on Amari Williams?
Nothing news to put out there, no princess. I think he's going to be a no. That's my news.
All
That's
right.
the news I feel. I
You
think
like
he's going to end up at FSU, and I will have a backstory on that of why I'm so confident.
Hmm.
Later. But I'm confident that I feel like FSU's in a pretty strong position.
like that too. Give it up, Z-Chan, everybody.
There you go.
$100 in the jar. Thank you, Zach. You're the man. He should be a pillar, but we didn't have a marker when we were in Orlando. So still love you though, Zach. Anyhow,
There you go.
what are the chances that Z-Chan, the dentist, gets recruited to fix the players from Alabama's teeth? JK. They got fine oral hygiene over there. They got bright, big, beautiful smiles, man. Not the least of which Malik Benson, hopefully catching a lot of touchdowns for the Noles that we would hope. So
There you go.
Thank you, Zach. Appreciate you, man. Let's go to
Appreciate it, man.
Noles for my life. Interesting. Not just for life, but for his life, their life. Can the staff pull out a top 5 class, Michael? Or are they permanent top 10 kind of recruiters?
No, absolutely. I think they can. I mean, if things didn't, I mean, if they don't lose a KJ Bolton, they're probably pushing right there at top 5. So, I mean, yes, I definitely think they can be a top 5 class, maybe even top 3. That's what we were kind of talking about as you watch through the process. There's some things that didn't fall their way, but yeah, certainly they can get top 5 class. I think that's something they can consistently do. Be honest. Now, is it something every year that you're going to do? Probably not. It's just with the way the portals run and the way things are and how FFU values the portal. Um, it'll be a challenge, but I definitely think they can do it. I don't think they're just locked into the top 10 range.
All right. As we sit here and talk and hang out, they're currently 6th for 2025. So just
Yep.
on the doorstep, but plenty of time left. Plenty of time. Little bit of team question, but Michael, you like to dabble. Noel Cab,
I
Jalen
dabble.
Lucas, is he being brought in to return punts along with kickoffs?
Yes. He will do everything special teams. I think you'll see a lot of him too when Wildcat, different formations that they get in the ball. This kid is electric as you get. So I think they're going to find different ways to make sure they get him the ball. More so, it'll be more so in the special teams department, but definitely, I definitely feel like he will be involved in all special teams. Look at the guy. Look at my guy Lee on here with some nice compliments. I appreciate that, man. Thanks.
I see.
Appreciate that.
Great work, Michael, says Lee Husga. Say hi to Diane, my Bass Pro friend.
I will. I
Mhm.
will. I'll let her know.
There we go. Back to regular scheduled programming.
There you go.
Wes and the Villages. 3 more transfers after spring ball, more or less, Michael.
I'm not putting any number on anything, Wes.
Ah,
I would say not that many. I would say for me, like no more than 4, in my opinion. But like I said, that's subject to change, and I am giving myself full right to change that with disclosure. But 4 would be the most. I think 3 is a good number, but I think they're going to keep an eye on. I mean, it might be more that because you're talking about we don't know what's going to happen in the spring of what guys win jobs or don't win jobs, whether it's FSU or not FSU related. So they might take more, but I think they definitely would like to see a offensive tackle. They would love to see a left tackle. They'd love to get that. Certainly like to add another linebacker. We know that. I think the guy that pops out to me is the Auburn linebacker Cam Riley. That's a guy I feel like there's going to be a strong pursuit from FSU with him. Um, we already covered him before, Nikai Hill Green. I think there's a good chance you could see him, but that FSU later in like May. But that really just depends on if there's other guys what other guys catch their fancy. And then certainly a defensive tackle. So yeah, there's 3 or 4.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
Can't stop, won't stop. Chi-Town Knoll 86. Now that Nick Saban is gone, do you believe Mike Norvell and Florida State will take the number 2 spot as far as Southern team destination behind Georgia?
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think Auburn's going to be considered up there. Hugh Freeze is good at building programs, so I think Auburn will be popular. But as far as the production on the field, yeah, you have to have FSU right there. I mean, I think they're right there with Georgia as far as being one of the most productive teams. So I think that's a fair you know breakdown. Chi-Town, I think that's very fair when you consider where FSU's going, what they've done, the fact that they're certainly during the regular season when they have their full team, they're not afraid to play these SEC schools. They can compete with anybody, and so yeah, I definitely put them up there.
A couple folks asking about Michigan. Do you know if there's any players on the Michigan roster there was pre-existing relationships with in the instance that Jim Harbaugh maybe goes to the NFL?
Not that I can think of off the top of my head. Nobody really pops out to me, but I'm sure they enter the portal. We'll check on it, but nobody off the top of my head that I would say for certain that they would go after.
You mentioned an Auburn linebacker, Michael.
Yeah,
How real is that? What's
yeah.
the status on that?
Yeah, Cam Riley, he entered the portal. I think he doesn't graduate until May, so that's going to be a May window guy. So I definitely think it's real. I think the chances are real. I think the pursuit will be real. So yeah, that's a name that was told to me that to know. That was the team. So usually when they say that, it's kind of like they feel like or at least my contacts feel that there is a legitimate shot, and he's a massive linebacker if you look at his size. But he is a linebacker. That's kind of what I've told. But that's a guy I'm going to keep an eye on in that May window. Really close eye on him. I think a visit is quite likely. Cam's already let me know that he's definitely interested in FSU. So I think that's a guy to keep an eye on.
6'5", 243 pounds.
Hmm.
It's a large human being.
Yes.
Large human being. So the on 3 numbers aren't wrong. It's just that's the numbers they pull from their high
Right.
school time.
Right.
So have that in mind, everybody.
Yep.
Zion. What happened to our guy Zion, the Michigan State gentleman from Westlake High School in Atlanta?
He ended up at Missouri.
Mm.
Missouri and FSU and Georgia were the 3 teams I'd heard. I told people Missouri was more of a threat. He ended up at Missouri. Now maybe that's because FSU just went nuts and they got the guys they got the Oregon State defensive end, certainly got the West Virginia defensive end. Think they would have taken Zion, but he ended up at Missouri.
I feel like we need to have a scroll at the bottom of the screen about Caleb Downs. A lot of people coming
Telling
here
you.
asking about Caleb Downs. Let's keep it on the defense, but let's move closer to the ball. Cody Shaw. Wonders aloud here, Michael. How is the 2025 board for blue chip defensive tackles looking? Is Odell recruiting going to step up?
You know what? I was dreading doing that because I've already gone through the defense tackles. Just full disclosure, I've already done that. I was actually impressed.
Okay.
Like there was actually a much better board than what I thought. I came up with 5 or 6 solid options that I think FSU has. I'm not gonna give all that away as far as what's in there, but I do think it's very detailed and it's leveled with really some really solid prospects, and a few of them, I think FSU has already positioned themselves pretty fairly well. Either they're in the top school or they're in the top group or top 2 or top 3. So I definitely think it's positioned better than what it was a year ago. I was pretty that was rough last year doing it when I first started last year with the first hot board. So I think this one looks pretty good, from what I've seen so far. But it's definitely a position that is always under question. Same thing with linebackers. Feel like we go through this every year with the high school, and so hopefully they can pull some blue chippers in from the defensive tackle position, and we'll see. But so far, I'm encouraged about the names that I have and the options I have based on the intel I picked up of guys they're after.
Tony Greco, how do you think the penalties the coaches have to serve in the spring will affect the spring portal?
Not really that much because, like I said, there's only a few they're going to probably add. I think that's part of the reason, in my opinion, that's my gut feeling, that they pushed so hard to get a large number of guys in this January window where they had 14. So I think that's why they pushed so hard. So those penalties wouldn't be an issue that much in their spring window with the in May. So I don't think it's going to play that big of a role, Tony. I think the biggest thing, Tony, is that you're not going to have your offensive coordinator for 3 games. I think to me that's the bigger thing than the penalties for recruiting or I guess ramifications of not having as much stuff as you would originally in the spring portal. But to me, that's a lesser concern than not having your coach for 3 games, which is, by the way, NCAA ridiculous.
Hmm. Call him out, Michael. Call him out.
Ridiculous.
R. Wilmer was wondering, as part of Mike's enhanced contract to stay at Florida State, it also included in increasing recruiting resources. Do you have any details on what that could or couldn't be?
Probably a bigger support staff. Yeah, that's something I think probably plays into that. I think recruiting resources is also, the facilities. Oh, by the way, thanks a lot, FSU. The Moore Athletic Center is nowhere we can park now. So they've already started it. So it's already, a challenge. But I think it plays into that too, what you can add on to the football only facility. So I think that probably those things play into it. And then just recruiting value money of what you can dive into with recruiting, as far as resources and stuff like that. So I think some of those main things are probably it.
Harold Kelly II,
There you go.
DeAndre Robinson, interest, possibly. He was let go of his NLI from Texas.
I'm expecting Florida. That was the team that finished second for him. I think this is more about him being homesick and want to get closer to home. And Florida's been the team that I've heard. Yeah, on paper it would look phenomenal, wouldn't it, Harold? Just it would be perfect. Defensive tackle, needed defensive tackle. So certainly it would help FSU. He is the teammate of the guy did just sign in Trevor. So he played on the same team as him. But I think probably ends up at Florida if I'm guessing. But we'll see. We'll see if he says he's not taking any visits or anything. So I think it's probably Florida.
All right. Cody Shaw's back.
Hey,
Josh Petty, 2025 offensive
yes,
tackle, real shot.
yes. FSU. Norvell and Atkins went to see him today. I don't know. I think Matt retweeted it or not. He plays at I forget. It's kind of a weird school name in
Tennessee,
Georgia.
it looks like.
Oh, is it Tennessee?
Somewhere in Tennessee, I think. It's
Okay, so it's like
oh, I'm sorry, Georgia, Roswell, Georgia, Fellowship
yeah,
Christian School.
yeah, Fellowship
Powerhouse.
Christian School. Yeah, there's a picture circulating that Norvell and Atkins were there to see him. Several other top schools have. That's a kid I was told that's going to visit FSU and probably either late January or February because there feels like there's 3 visit weekends coming up. Obviously, the 20th, you guys know, 27th, and then I think February 3rd. Some kids are coming for that. I don't know if it's like per se a junior day as well, but it's a visit weekend. So I think he's going to be in one of those weekends, those last 2 weekends. So certainly a guy they like, and certainly be one that certainly will be on their board. He will certainly be on my board when we do break down his position. But yeah, that's the guy they like.
Well, let's keep it on the offensive line then, Michael. Grillmaster says, how do the 2025 offensive tackle prospects seem to be? Are we in the running for some of the bigger offensive tackle prospects?
Oh yeah, they're doing really well. They have Solomon Thomas, who's one of the best offensive linemen out of Jacksonville Reigns. He will visit FSU next weekend. I think they're in a pretty good position for Max Buchanan, a 4-star from Sanford Seminoles, same school as Ethan Pritchard, who's already committed to FSU. So I think they sit pretty good with those guys. And then Zaire Addison is another one that's a 4-star that I feel like they're in the best position for. So there's 3 guys right there. Not going to give away the whole hot board. I still got to add Petty because that's kind of a late addition I haven't added yet. But yeah, it's shaping up really good. It's shaping up to be one of probably the best offensive line classes I think potentially that they've had in the FSU history, based
Ooh.
on the way it's trending early on. Now we got to see how that goes, but I feel like it's going to be a really strong class.
Mm. Leo Knoll.
Hmm.
Shout out Leo Knoll.
Dollar bills, y'all.
Thank you. Appreciate it. After losing Dennis Briggs, any chance Florida State will add another defensive tackle? Love the
Yeah,
work as always.
yeah, it's that's kind of the plan in May, that I feel like they're going to add, one more defensive tackle. One kid that we mentioned earlier is Emmanuel. I'm not even going to try to pronounce his last name. He plays in England.
Mm.
I could, and it's brutal. It's a hard name,
Oh,
but
I don't say it's brutal. Just we
it's
our
hard. It's
simplistic
just hard
thought.
to pronounce. I don't want to mess up his name. That's what I'm. When I
Yeah,
say brutal, I mean for me to pronounce it, it would be brutal. Not that the name's bad or anything.
Let's see right here. We already spoke about that one. I didn't want to talk about team stuff. How about old team stuff from Hector? It's
Why
all
not?
Hector, Michael. Anything for Hector. As the roster sits now, your ceiling and floor for wins and losses next season. Also, what could be added that would change the ceiling? I still think they need like a pretty good wide receiver. I mean, I know they
Yeah,
have a lot of guys, but they have a lot of
hmm
unproven guys.
yeah, I
And
agree.
it's possible that those guys can look really good in the spring and we'll feel good about them. And then they'll look good in preseason camp as well. But it would be nice to get like some kind of 6'3", 215-pound guy that's got really good body control and can go up and grab it. That'd be nice to get one of those guys.
Not only
Um,
that, you want guy that has some numbers behind it. Not just the big body. You would like to have an experienced receiver that you feel like can lead the other guys in this room. What they have. I agree with you, Aslan. I think that's something they're going to look at. I think that's something that potentially they could add. So I think an experienced guy is one that I'm kind of focused on. For that May window.
Ceiling
Uh,
13 wins. I'll put the ceiling at 13, the floor at 10.
yeah, I could
Right.
roll with that.
Right.
By the way, the defensive tackle's name is Emmanuel Owe Bajayo.
Crushed it, Michael. Look at that. Godby stand up. Godby High School. Let's go, baby.
There
Let's
you go.
go, man.
It's from
Um,
England, by the way. He plays in England.
yeah.
So there's some international stuff they had to work out.
Khalil playing devil advocate saying the only way you can let these receivers prove themselves is if you let them prove themselves. You can't keep undercutting these dudes, man. Which I get it, but I mean, do you want to go into a season with nobody that's played, like no one that's started at least like 10 games in their career, really at wide receiver?
I don't really look at it as like undercutting. I'm look at it as like competition. It's like you're going to compete no matter who's in there. Whether you add another guy or not, you're going to have to compete with the Malik Bensons and the guys that you added, from the portal. The Jalen Browns, those guys. I mean, I look at it as like competition. I don't think it's more undercutting. It's like these players can leave anytime they want as far as portal and stuff like that. And then, so you have to build your roster of top players. The job for the coaches and the staff is to build the best team. So if there's a best guy out there, certainly you're going to take him. I mean, if he fits everything that measures up to your team and your culture and your offense. So I think it's more just a competitive nature of football.
I mean, I get what you're saying. I mean, Khalil saying at one point, P Dub, Bolden, and Rashad were unproven too, but I mean, P Dub and Anquan, like Mr. Florida in football.
Yeah,
Not like Hakeem and Destin or, chop liver, but
yeah.
a little bit different. A little bit
And
different.
P Dub played as a freshman too. Let's not act like he wasn't on the field. Like even that one year he was a freshman, he was out there. He showed flashes. So let's not act like these are comparable to what that is. And it's a different time too. It's like I said, you got to build your roster. The transfer portal guys count the same as the high school kids. It doesn't change. They're
Mm.
I think everyone treats these portal guys like they're aliens, but they're players. They're players. Yeah, they're not committed to your program from the beginning, but they're still players that are in there. And I don't think anybody looks at Jermaine Johnson any more different than some of the guys that stayed 4 years. So I think Jermaine Johnson is well represented. He loves FSU. So, but it's just the way things are. Now where with the portal and you got to build your roster. It's all about the roster. That's why I tell people all the time, like, the roster is what matters, guys. It doesn't matter if it's high school or portal to me. Are you building your roster the right way to compete nationally with everybody? And if FSU feels like they need to add a top tier experienced playmaker, that's what you have to do. You can't worry about the feelings of somebody because they're there already. You have to. Those guys have to step up and compete and get their earn their spot. And is it fair? Probably not, but it's just the way things are.
Our guy up there in Thomasville,
There
North
you go.
Carolina, Daryl. Long time, Daryl. How are you, man?
Yeah.
He's got the bird on his shoulder. Hey, man, what about Ian Jackson, linebacker, Alabama? Speaking of aliens and the transfer portal.
Okay. I have not heard anything with him with FSU. I've heard that that's a guy of just, looking into, but nothing serious where, what I heard when it came to Sean Murphy when he came in. And so I haven't heard much with him yet, Daryl, but I'll keep checking. And so no movement, I guess, yet with him.
Oh, I feel like arguing with people, but I'm not going to. Benjamin Haygood's here, everybody. What up, Benjamin?
Hey.
Let's go. Thanks, Ben. You're the man now, dog. $20 in the jar. For real, man. Appreciate that. Thank you. He says wake up, but wrong show, man.
Yep.
Michael, I heard a rumor that Florida State may be over on scholarships. Is that true? I know a few guys came in as preferred walk-ons. Thanks for all you do. Best coverage of our beloved Noles. Also, shout out to our guy James B out there, Pillar. I think I saw him earlier in the chat say that is Ferguson a PWO? That'd be nuts.
Yeah, I don't think
Alabama. He ain't leaving Alabama to be a PWO, is he?
I don't think so. I mean, to me, he's under scholarship that I know, but I don't really know go into details about the full numbers. I think they feel comfortable what they have and what they had to present. I don't think they're over. I think they've presented what they have, and I think there'll be a few more spots. As I've said, the attrition's going to be there, so I definitely feel like they know what guys are going to have there and what guys aren't, and the kind of stuff will play itself out when you go through the spring. But I think their numbers are fine. I wouldn't worry about their scholarship numbers.
In the history of collegiate football, it always works out somehow.
Yeah.
No one's ever gone over. So expect that pattern to continue. But yeah, maybe they are getting creative in terms of trying to figure things out. People keep talking about, do scholarships matter when you have NIL? And it's, well, yeah, man, like, when you're on scholarship and you get NIL, like the NIL is going into your pocket as opposed to, I mean, if they're giving you an NIL deal to help cover your tuition, then that's, not going into your pocket. So again, I don't know the ins and outs of all that sort of stuff, but and I really don't even want to know it. I don't want to know. I do not want to know the math that people are going to use to get players to come to schools that are not on scholarship to make it work. I'm having to do enough cognitive dissonance to keep it together. Anyhow. Chris Morgan's here, by the way, Michael. Shout out to Chris. What's up, Chris?
There you go.
$20 in the jar. Jar's getting filled up. By the way, you see this? I wonder if I can put this away. This is it's a prayer candle I lit off last week, Michael, to keep Mike Norvell in Tallahassee. So it worked. So maybe we'll auction it off or something. Maybe I'll get Mike to sign it.
Did it have black smoke coming out of it? Like Michael Alford's tweet?
Maybe at first, when I first lit the wick, it might have. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to try to get this signed by Norvell at some point.
There you go. I like that.
Maybe I'll take it away from now, though.
By the way, that was a stressful week.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, a little bit.
That was bad.
Do you think he got offered the job, Michael?
I don't know. I think they were pursuing. I think the pursuit was very heavy.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I do. I definitely think. I can't say if he was offered, but I definitely know that there were people inside FSU, not just from me, but like I reported too, that they were concerned that they were going to be able to keep their guy. But I was told that he had already, the feeling around a lot of people the day before was that he was going to stay. Like I was told that when I was around some people and they told me like after once it all went down, they told me the day before, like they felt really good. but still, there was a lot of nervous energy. But that was a really tense, drama-filled 4 days.
Oh. Hey, hit the thumbs up, everybody. Please.
Yes.
Please hit thumbs up.
Yes, I saw one poster question about Wilmer. He's asking the scenario if Downs goes to Georgia. I'll let you pull that up.
Well, we got to answer Chris's question first. Chris
Okay.
threw money in our face. So
Okay.
let's go to Chris
Yes, let's
first.
do it, Chris.
If your head coach, Michael Langston, based on the new recruiting budget, would it make sense to keep the development coaches like Randy Shannon and Odell and then really focus on a recruiter type position to add to the staff?
Oh man, sitting there trying to tell me what coach should be fired or something. I don't know. I mean, I'm bigger on development. As long as you're an okay recruiter, I'm pretty happy, Chris. As long as the development is really good there, and it's certainly not affecting the product on the field when you factor in what they're doing. And now with the portal, give me a guy that develops and coaches them the right way than a guy just recruits, but he's not a great coach. Personally, I mean, you would love to have a even medium of hey, they're a pretty good recruiter and they're also a great developer. But I tend to lean towards the I tend to lean towards the development stuff bigger to me. I know recruiting gets people excited, but development's what wins you games. And so that's kind of big with me.
By the way, James is clarifying. He meant
Okay.
the quarterback being a PWO, not the massive human being from
Come on,
Alabama.
James. Come on, man.
Who was the person you want me to pull up a question from about Caleb Downs?
Wilmer had I got a comment on this because he has a question. It says, Mike, the what scenario? Say Caleb Downs goes to Georgia. Is there a possibility that KJ transfers spring or fall?
Okay. I can't find the question. You can answer
Okay.
it though. You just read it there,
Yeah,
so they know.
I just read it to everyone. I don't think that's happening with FSU, Wilmer. I don't see FSU going after KJ Bolden again. After what happened, let's just say there was a lot of dishonesty when it came to communicating with FSU what he was actually doing. Um, and usually when that happens, the bridge is kind of cut off and tore down. So the chance of him ending up back of FSU, I don't think are likely, even if that scenario popped up. Yeah, they're usually there's very few things that can stop them from recruiting a guy, but that kind of situation where the communication is lacking and stuff like that happens, I can see that not happening. We saw that with a lot of kids that did a similar thing that they did not go after. So I think it's going to be a similar pattern.
Abdullah Muhammad.
Okay.
Who starts first, Julian Armella or Lucas Simmons? Or better yet, who cracks the top 8 rotation first amongst those two? What have you heard, Michael? I know, Armella had more stars, had the name, the pedigree. Like Lucas Simmons wasn't that much of a known commodity, but once people started like looking at his film and looking at him in person and kind of projecting what he's going to look like in 2 or 3 years, it felt like there was probably more
Right.
excitement to what he could be. But as we sit here and talk about this sort of stuff now, Michael, what do you think?
I think mine's kind of a two-parter. Like early on, I like Armella, but later on, as the reps go, I like Simmons better at the end. So I would say Armello first because the experience is there. He's much more experienced as far as being in the system. So I think he would be the first. But then as they go along, the reps get in there, the teaching, the development. I think Simmons is going to be a phenomenal player. So I think for me, Simmons has the higher ceiling. When I look at those two, I think both are going to play, but that's kind of my answer on that.
First name N, last name Alfonso.
Okay.
What about the defensive tackle from Tallahassee, the one from Rickards?
Yeah, Jalen Wiggins committed to Florida. Probably I want to say last week, and the funny thing about that is he committed to Florida, but then reached out to us after we checked. Was like, "Hey, are you going to the FSU Junior Day?" And he's like, "Yes, I'm going." So committed to Florida, but he says he's going. Now, will he show up? We'll see. I mean, Jalen's told us before that he's going and then isn't there, but he grew up a fan of Florida, so I get it. But I know that's hard for people to understand for a kid from Tallahassee, but that's kind of where things are. I think it would be a tough flip, but I'll put this point out there. Florida had the questions about their defensive coordinator not being retained last year. I think that could certainly come up again where he isn't there. So if that happened, I think that shifts things again where FSU I think will be in the picture again. So that's kind of my take of where things stand with Jalen.
All right, let's get this figured out here. James B. Did we not just bring in someone as a PWO? Can I just get an answer to my question? He was out of the chat room, but we'll just go ahead and interject here. Was Trevor Jackson, is he a PWO?
Yes.
Okay. There we go.
End of story. There you go, James. He's coming in as a walk-on. We've mentioned that, but that's the only guy. So could enter scholarship. Could go the CJ Campbell route where you get an academic scholarship or something like that. But yes, he's coming in as a walk-on.
Yeah. Shout out to old princess. She answered the question as well. Sorry, didn't see it. Sorry, did not see it.
It's all good. It's all good, guys.
All right. What else we got here?
Let's keep this party going.
Somebody asked about Caleb Downs again. That was awesome.
Guys,
read the Lord.
Read the
Shout the Lord simply for having good, strong sarcasm. We appreciate that. Hey, with Kalen DeBoer at Alabama now, Michael, Chris Thompson wonders aloud. And we don't know if it's the Chris Thompson or just the Chris Thompson, but it might be the Chris Thompson.
I hope it is because he's awesome.
Yeah. Is Florida State the front runner for linebacker Zadrius Rainey Sale again?
I think they're one of the front runners. You have to think that he's going to visit probably Alabama just because, hey, that's the coach he committed to. So I could see that. He might even check with Washington to see where they stand. But I think for me, I think that definitely pushes FSU back up high up there as one of the front runners. I wouldn't say the front runner, but I think also FSU needs to get him back on campus. And certainly he would be a massive pickup, the number one player in Washington, state of Washington. So certainly he loved FSU, but there was a connection with Washington, his hometown team. He thought that they were going to be consistently playing for a national title. Now with Jed Fish there, you don't know. It's but uncertainty. They got to show themselves and prove themselves. But I think now it's more in flux where FSU is certainly one of the front runners again.
Right on. Look at James B. Stop it. James B. Stop. Stop it. Pillar. He's a pillar, everybody. $100. Thank you, guys. I know wrong show, but I finally bought some vitamin energy. Awesome. Good. James, maybe a half shot. Just take a half shot the first time you take it. Don't take a whole one.
Yeah.
And kind of feel it out from there. Adjust accordingly. But we appreciate you. You're the best. I'm going to keep your name up on the screen. But we're going to ask another question, Michael, from Noel Cab.
Okay.
Strong shades in the photo of Noel Cab's avatar on YouTube. Who do we anticipate? Actually, let's go to this one first. Sorry. Okay. Audible, hot route. Dave Doherty, what safety and center prospects are likely, Michael, would you say?
For 2025?
He doesn't specify.
Okay.
But let's say that because we never really know what's going to happen.
I think Richie Leonard could play that center position. I think he has the size. Guy they just got to commit from last weekend. I think Terrence can play there, but I look at Terrence more as a pure guard when I watch him. But I think Richie could certainly fill that void. I think certainly high school. There's a few kids in there. Ty Hilton that plays. They've talked about center with him. And even guys like Jonathan Daniels could certainly fit in there as far as that position. As far as 2025, we have to wait and see what guys fit in there. I think certainly Max Buchanan can play a lot of different places on the line, but I'd have to wait and see on 2025 to see what center guys are in there. But I think we've covered most of the 2025 offensive linemen. Certainly, I'll go over the full detail of that, in the hot board coming up. But yeah, those are a few.
He looks like a Gator to me, man. I mean, I'm not trying to disparage anybody, but like you can just line up kids and I'd be like, all right, he'll be at Florida State. He's going to Florida. He's going to Florida. He's going to Florida. Just one man's opinion, just based on looks.
Okay.
So just you heard it here first. You can
Okay.
yell at Aslan. Nobody yell at Michael. Michael didn't say it. I'm the one that said it.
Okay. Nice.
Khalil's here, everybody. Khalil's already been here.
Hey.
This is a quintessential Khalil question that I almost feel like I need to call Corey and like put him on speaker and hold him up to the mic. Who are your top 3 number 2 receivers in history, Florida State history, and which of them would have been the best number 1? Did y'all have to throw a history question? You know, I got to throw a history question over there now and then. The number 2 wide receiver.
Man.
I mean, Dugans is Dugan. I mean, is Ron in there? Ron's got to be in there, right?
That's what I was going to say, Ron, but I want to let you do it first.
All right.
He's a great Robin. He was phenomenal with Peter Warwick. So yeah, Ron be in there. He's a Nole, man. Why not? Sure.
Kelvin's got to be up there then.
Yeah.
I mean, Kelvin's in the mix.
Yeah. Man, he really breaks you think on these, man. Number 2 that should have been a 1.
Like was EG number 2 to Kez for a minute and then eventually became a number 1?
Yeah, there was certain games where EG was the focal, and then there was most of the games were Kez. So yeah, that's a good one.
I'm prisoner of the moment, man. I'm gonna say, and I mean, to call KB wide receiver 2 is disrespect.
Yeah.
And I wish I could turn that camera around and show you what's on my wall. And it's the Sports Illustrated cover of KB going up over Chris Davis.
There you go.
Winning a national title for Florida State. And there's the ticket, 2 photos of me and my friends out front of the stadium, inside the stadium, and then the little score sheet they hand out outside the stadium afterwards. It's all framed right there. Looking at, love you, Kelvin. Yeah, I mean, he would have been number 1, right? I mean, him and Rashad, that's his 1A, 1B as you'll have. So that's probably the easy answer. Sorry for talking so much. Let's get another recruiting question.
There's so many out there. It's so hard to do that.
Somebody saying Snoop.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
See about the way his time.
Yeah.
Doss. Kenny Shaw Raw. All right, a lot of good answers. There's no right or wrong answer when you're
No, there's not. There's not.
Let's see what else we got here. Yeah, come on. It's a recruiting chat, everybody. Where's the recruiting chat? Mark Cannon, is conference affiliation, is the ACC, is Florida State being in the ACC causing any negative recruiting vibes for the Noles?
I don't think it's negative after what they did, to kind of put it out there like we're leaving, essentially. Right. I think it was negative before that. It's going to be negative to a certain degree until they actually officially leave, but I don't think it's like killing them, but it definitely would benefit them heavily if they were, say, in the Big Ten Conference, if they announced tomorrow. I'm not saying they're announcing tomorrow either, guys, but if they did, I think it would be a big benefit and a boost for them in recruiting. I don't think it's absolutely killing them, but it does hurt. As long as you're in this league, it's going to hurt in some degree.
All right. People still arguing about look what you started. Look what you started. My guy, our guy in Jacksonville, Khalil, what you started. Everybody wants to argue now about who's the best number 2 wide receiver. Todd Morris, besides Cam Davis, are there any other dual sport athletes that were recruited?
Yeah, BJ Gibson plays baseball as well. He's a receiver that they got in the 2024 class. That's certainly a guy that's going to do that. I think Micaiah Danzy is going to run track. So he's going to do dual threat. He's really good in track, one of the best in the country. Not just, good. He's elite. So I think those 2 pop out in my head as far as being dual sport guys.
Any info on 2025 tight ends? Asks Grillmaster.
Coming up soon, Grill. I've got a hot board. We're that's going down the list. I think there's obvious ones you know about. Elise Williams committed to Georgia, 4-star tight end. That's probably the number one guy. They're working on. They've got him on campus like 4 times last year. I think he'll be back again soon. I'll go through the list of other guys. Hollis Davidson is another one. He visits on Friday actually, so I think you'll see him on campus. He's getting a look, and that's a guy I think they like. I think Coach Thompson went to see him in the evaluation period. So there's one more, but those are kind of a few that I know for sure. But certainly there's going to be a pretty expanded board as far as tight ends. I think they'll probably take one. You've got a lot of time before we get to that point of who they take and don't take.
All right. Was not expecting Hollis Davidson to look like that, but shout out Hollis, man. Strong name.
How does he look like? What school does he look like?
He looks like a Nole. He looks like a Nole.
Okay.
He looks like a Nole. Yeah.
There you go.
Tony Greco, whose avatar is an angry Cartman dressed up in Florida State apparel.
Nice.
Biggest need for 2025 that Florida State must nail, Michael.
For me, it's linebacker. For me, you got to get some more elite blue chippers in there. It's nice.
Or what? Or what? Like, love Kalen, love Tatum.
Yep.
Kalen might play on Sundays. I don't know about Tatum.
Yeah.
I hope. But like, neither of those guys were blue chip guys, and this defense was just fine. It's 2024, everybody. Have a good pass rush, have good coverage, and just, know your gaps every now and then, and just be a decent tackler in the open field. Like, I don't know. Like, is that what set Michigan over the edge? Like, did we watch Michigan and think, wow, those linebackers, man, it's all on them? Georgia, like, oh, and yeah, I keep saying, I'm not trying to defend and say that they don't need linebackers and don't worry about it. But this like desire, this thirst to get Derek Brooks and Marvin Jones back, which would be awesome.
Yes.
I don't think you need that anymore.
I don't think you need it, but I think you do need more depth and high school depth of what they have. I mean, outside of Blake Nicholson and Omar Graham, who is the linebackers you would say from a high school perception, there's not a lot that you can list. I think you need to replenish that depth in there. I think they need some nice blue chippers. I do like Jaden Parrish, who's coming in. I think he's going to be a great player. That's a good one. But you do need to add some nice high school guys there. And in defensive tackle, I don't think they've gotten really somebody that you would consider blue chipper recently. So that's a position I think as well. So I think he's on the right track of those are positions that as far as, in my opinion, they're important as far as needs and kind of what you want to address. I'm addressing from the recruiting standpoint. I'm gonna let Aslan cover the overall team stuff with it, but I think from a recruiting perspective, those are positions they could do better that would help them, that are the most important in my opinion.
I'm just saying, man, they'll have the number 2 overall defense in the country, and people are gonna be like, "Well, they got linebacker next year. Who's gonna be a linebacker next year?" I don't care, man. Don't care. Rush off the edge, affect the quarterback, cover well. Go. That's what I need.
I like it.
But whatever, man. I'm not saying that Michigan and Georgia are trotting out bums. I'm not saying Florida State's trotting out bums. But I just this like, you must have this 5-star. Like, you need that at linebacker. I think you can get away with just good, solid play there. And listen, Tatum and Kalen were more than just solid. Like, they were check plus. Like, I definitely I don't want to take a step back. And right now, the way they're at, like, I get it. You're probably taking a step back from what Kalen and Tatum were. But I don't know if that's enough to ruin your aspirations to make the playoff. Just one man's opinion.
Yeah, and my opinion is really it's just they need options to turn to besides. I mean, because they're very fortunate with Kalen and Tatum for the most of their career. They were pretty healthy. So after that, if you lost those guys, what would you be? So I think overall, you just want to see more options there.
I mean, I don't remember Florida State getting run over by anybody. I don't last year. I don't remember the games well though. And I'm not saying that sarcastic. I don't remember the games well at all. So I could be totally wrong here. All right, let's go back to Noel Cab here. Let's not say names. That's rude.
Yeah.
And now he's not trying to be rude, but what positions do you anticipate Florida State will probably shed in that spring window? I mean, receivers got to be one, right? I mean, I think Corey has said what 12 or 13 on
Yeah.
scholarship right now. And maybe now with Burrell down, maybe now it's 12 or 11. So
Yeah, I'd say experienced receiver, linebacker, and defense tackle.
no,
If
who are
I,
they going to? What position do you think will leave? Will exit? Will
oh,
enter the portal?
well, certainly you're down at quarterback. I think interior offensive line, you're done. So,
No, Michael.
yes.
A position that you're I don't want to say afraid of, but there's a position that probably will lose a few guys because they'll leave Florida State and they'll
Oh,
enter.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I would say receiver. That would be probably the highest for me. I think the other positions are, I think you're pretty good at. I can't see too much movement there. There'll be some guys that maybe there might be an offensive lineman that maybe isn't there that, hey, I feel like I can get a better opportunity somewhere else. But I think for me, receiver, there's a lot of guys in there. So yeah, I'd side with you, Aslan, on that. Sorry, I didn't understand what you were
No, it's
trying to.
fine. It's it's people leaving the portal, entering the portal, spring window, winter window. It's a lot. Mike, let's go on this one. I guess it's a good question.
Okay.
From R. Wilmer. How do you define blue chip player? Is there a universal definition? Do you have a specific definition?
Well, for me, it's more so how they impact the game, but also how they project when I see them at Florida State. How do I project this guy? What do I feel like his ceiling is when he gets to FSU of how he's going to impact that team? That's what I look as a blue chipper is you're impacting that team. Whether to me, you could be a low 4-star and still be a blue chipper. It's just how are you impacting and projecting to the next level? That's what I look at blue chipper when I say that, Wilmer. When I look at it, that's what I feel. I think a lot of people when they look at blue chipper, they're thinking like 5-star, and it's like you don't necessarily have to be a 5-star to be a blue chipper, in my opinion. It's like how you impact that roster and change the roster and change the team with your assertion in that offense or defense or special teams. That's how I look at it.
Yeah, so I guess technically 4 and 5 stars are technically
Right,
blue chips.
right.
So,
I agree with that.
I've always been, when you talk about like Hall of Famers, like at least for the NFL, Pro Football Hall of Fame, I've always been like, can you say that you were one of the 5 best guys at your position for 5 years?
Hmm.
Not necessarily like 5 consecutive years, but like for 5 years, were you one of the 5 best guys at your position? Which is why a guy like Torrey Holt probably is a Pro Bowler.
Right.
For like 5 years, you can probably argue that Torrey Holt was one of the best 5 wide receivers in the NFL. I don't know that what we could do to, like, would it be that you're at the top 10 of your position almost, because I feel like we need to whittle it down. I'm with you. I don't think we should just say 5 stars or blue chips only because that's only what,
Yeah.
25 or 30 guys a year. But then
Correct.
if you open it to 4-star guys, then we're talking like hundreds. But then
Yep.
there's thousands of kids out there and there's dozens of really good football programs. So
I
it's
think
it's a
that's
tough
fair.
one.
4 and 5 stars. I think most of them come from that. As far as you figure out how they impact FSU, we're focused on FSU. I'm not focused on every other program, but I would say 4 and 5 stars. Yeah, it's a good way to go.
All right. Last one. We've gone over an hour. What
Okay.
are we doing? What are we doing? Somebody wanted to talk about who are the 5 top cornerbacks and safeties for this year, but that's team related. So we'll go with this one a little bit, Michael.
Okay.
Reflecting now on the 2024 class, Michael, 21 asks, out of that class, Tribe 24, who will be the standout players on offense and defense?
Like immediately.
Yeah, let's go there, I guess, right? Or whichever
Okay.
you want. That one or who do you maybe foresee? Either who's going to break through first, or when all's said and done, we look back on and we're like, that was the dude.
I think running back Cam Davis is one for me. When I look at that guy, he's a different looking dude. He brings a different. You don't have a lot of guys that look like him and do what he does and is shifty and powerful. So I think he's a guy for me on offense, and then on defense, I go back to the guy that I really like, and he's a 3-star, and that's Jaden Parrish. I
Okay.
really like Jaden. I think linebacker's a position where you don't have a lot of deep depth, so That's a guy I feel like can come in there, make some noise and do a little thing. And then the guy we probably hasn't talked about as much as D.D. Holmes out of over there in DC area. That's a guy I like a lot. I think DC is DD is a pure pass rusher. I think you can see him, even though he doesn't get here to the summer. I think that's a guy that I could see once he gets things and his feet wet and starts sinking in. I think he's a guy later in the season that I think you could see some, some impact from him as far as the team in some capacity.
I like Jaden Parrish. I like that pick. He
Yeah.
looks like a dog. He looks like a dog. I like it. I like
Does
it.
he look
Michael.
like a Nole?
He looks like a Nole, like a high achieving, high functioning Nole.
There you go.
I like that. I like that one a lot. Good picks, good selections out of you. All right, that's a wrap for us. But recruiting never stops. Now there's Warchant.com because it's on the internet. So as long as there's power out there and Al Gore's alive, his internet's going to be up and running. And so Warchant.com. What's going on this weekend, Michael? Can you relax, or you guys gonna have to go hang out? You and Matt Lassere go hang out more.
No, we got a big junior day, so there's going to be around 20, 22 prospects there, around that realm of 20, maybe 15 to 20. So y'all put us in your prayers, by the way, because it's supposed to be 40 the high and 21 the low. So, but it's going to be certainly a lot of top prospects. We talked about JB French going to be there, Tremble Jones, several guys. Go to PRB, you can see the full list. We got that rolling in there. 4-star running back Byron Lewis is also going to be there. I think American Heritage. So certainly some ties there with Certain. But that's what we're going to be doing. We're going to get you the latest of what's going on with those guys. Let's get into the 2025 cycle, and then we'll see if a transfer portal guy shows up. You never know. I never say never when it comes to any weekend that's open for visits. So that's something we'll keep an eye on. But that's what we'll be doing. We'll give you all the latest of what's going on. Videos, interviews. I'll have a wrap from it after it's over. I'm sure I'll talk to Aslan again we'll do a wake up, and
let's do it.
That's kind of what we got coming up. Like I said before, hot board. I'm putting the final touches on that, guys. So 2025. So if you haven't seen me on the board and you're watching this, guys, that's why I haven't been on there. I've been working on this for 4 straight days to get it done. I wanted to get it done for you guys. It's going to be really detailed, really good. So that's kind of what I've been working on. And then obviously the junior day coverage will kill it like we always do. And certainly Matt Lassere will be out there, and we'll have all our guys, and we'll see if they can get some good news.
So is there a name in mind you have when it comes to transfer portal guy visiting? Is it over on the premium recruiting board, or are you just keeping the door open because you never know?
I'm just keeping the door open.
Okay.
I've heard there's a possibility of one, but I don't know any names. I don't know anybody. If it's for sure happening, I was told that there's a possibility. So I'm just leaving out the open possibility that there could be one, but I don't, like I said, nothing's confirmed that there'll be one there or there's for sure coming. It's just something I'm monitoring and checking on, and I just don't know for sure yet.
Do you still have some of your DeLuna hot cocoa?
I do. I'm actually going to have some of that tonight. Okay. So that's a good segue. Good job, Aslan.
Take it with you out there. Look at that. High of 47, low of 26 on Saturday, high of 47, low of 26 on Sunday. That's not great. All right.
Yeah.
That's a wrap. Thanks to Khalil. Thanks to James B. Thanks to Chris. Thanks to Benjamin. Thanks to Leo Knoll. Thanks to Z-Chan. Thanks to you, everybody, for asking your questions and the thumbs up on the way out. We forgot to talk about this. Any chance on Caleb Downs? But Scott Fells, go check out the Warchant.com premium recruiting board. Might get some information on there. You can just rewind 58 minutes back and figure it out. Michael, hey, thanks for doing this as always, man. We appreciate you, Michael. Thank you.
My pleasure, man.
Hit the thumbs up on the way out, everybody. Have a great night.